Kamala's VP pick and Donald Trump's response. Yes, folks, hold on to your hats because we are diving headfirst into the political firestorm that is Kamala's VP pick. Tim Walz might look like America's dad on the surface, but we've uncovered some skeletons in his closet that will make your skin crawl. From stolen valor allegations to a scandal involving something involving a horse. Yeah, that's what is actually trending right now. And wait till you hear Trump's reaction. He's not pulling any punches. Is this the beginning of the end for Kamala's campaign? Stay tuned because this story is hotter than a Minnesota summer. Now, speaking of hot, folks, the political landscape isn't the only thing heating up. As we navigate these turbulent times, it's crucial to protect your financial future. Just like Kamala's VP pick is shaking things up, global economic shifts are impacting your wealth. Gold prices have surpassed $2,400 an ounce, reflecting a weakening U.S. dollar. Don't let political uncertainty erode your savings. Global Gold Investments offers a 5-year IRA fee waiver program and expert guidance to secure your financial future. There's a number on the screen, 888-700-4148. Give them a call or just visit the link in the description, IRAGoldproof.com. Make sure you mention Next News for VIP treatment. In times of political upheaval, gold remains a stable haven. Okay, folks, let's transition into all the stuff that we have got lined up for you right now. First of all, this is what Donald Trump just posted moments ago on his Truth Social feed.
Let's get into it. What he wants. Well, I am. I'm going to be doing that. What he wants. If you look at his record with no walls, no security, let everybody in, he's worse than they are. You know, nobody knew how radical left she was, but he's a smarter version of her. If you want to know the truth, he's probably about the same as Bernie Sanders. He's probably more so than Bernie Sanders. She is more so than Bernie Sanders. That's got to be your guide, Bernie Sanders, and that's not a great guide. But there's never been a ticket like this. This is a ticket that would want this country to go communist immediately, if not sooner. We want no security. We want no anything. He's very heavy into transgender. Anything transgender he thinks is great. And he's not where the country is on anything.
Mr. President,
this is a shocking. Let me tell you, this is a shocking pick, and I think it's very insulting to Jewish people, and I think it's very insulting to people that want security. I think it's very insulting to anything having to do with making America great again. Well, I am. I'm going to be doing.
Okay, so now you've got Donald Trump's reaction immediately. This was just posted just a short while ago, but so much, as you can see here, we've got to get through. I don't even know where to begin because it's so much happening. I guess the real big story right now is the stolen valor of Walz. Now, this is just in CNN confirming that Tim Walz stolen valor was never in combat. This is coming to us from Amuse over on X. He says, holy crap, is Kamala Harris considering dumping Tim Walz? Wouldn't that be interesting? I don't know how they could go ahead and pull that off. That'd be too much of a shakeup. But you know what? This election cycle has been the craziest election cycle I've ever covered. So nothing really will shock me. Let's take a look here. This is what is going on over on CNN, of all places.
Walz did make a comment, speaking to a group, he's done it a couple of times, where he has used language that has suggested that he carried weapons in a fighting situation. As you know, with your contact with the military, I know from coming from a military family, there is a difference between being in a combat area, being involved at a time of war, and actually being in a position where people are shooting at you. There is no evidence that at any time Governor Walz was in a position of being shot at, and some of his language could easily be seen to suggest that he was. So that is absolutely false when he said that about gun rights out there.
Okay, so what he's referencing here, we actually have one of the clips of him speaking in that capacity, discussing the carrying of arms. We've got some veterans' reactions. Look at this. Look at this headline. This is the headline from the New York Post. Kamala's ad lib. Veep nod for Minnesota Governor Walz makes most radical ticket in history out of left field. We got the footage from the Tarmac, but this is what Cernovich just posted from an event where Tim Walz was speaking, and this is what that CNN reporter was referencing.
All right, I spent 20. Hope woke up like many of you did 5 weeks ago and said, Dad, you're the only person I know who's in elected office. You need to stop what's happening with this. I'll take my kick in the butt for the NRA. I spent 25 years in the Army and I hunt. And I gave the money back, and I'll tell you what I have been doing. I've been voting for common sense legislation that protects the Second Amendment, but we can do background checks. We can do CDC research. We can make sure we don't have reciprocal carry among states. And we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
There it is. Did you hear that?
We can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at. Reciprocal carry among states, and we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war.
There it is. That is the statement that CNN was actually referencing. Now, the fact of Kamala considering dumping Tim Walz, I think that's a stretch. Let's take a look at this is Vance calling out Walz. This is Real America's Voice. This was just posted just a short while ago.
Well,
calling into the John Solomon Show. Let's take a listen to what Vance had to say.
Well, for most of the last 15 years, including when on the official Minnesota government website, the governor's website, Tim Walz has claimed that he was a command master, sergeant major. That's the top enlisted man in a battalion. And while he temporarily held that title, he didn't complete his obligations, and so he was stripped of that title, and he was demoted back down to a sergeant master, a full rank below. That is according to the Minnesota National Guard, which confirmed this morning. So he is misusing a title. When he said he was a sergeant major, he may have been a major liar because he did not have the right to claim that title. He was bumped down specifically because he didn't complete his obligations, including training and education that were required to keep the title. So, this is a big issue because the military background for him is something that the Democrats were hoping to be a plus. Now it has the potential to be a minus. And most importantly, this isn't coming from anonymous sources. It's on the record from the Minnesota National Guard where he served. They are confirming he misused the title. Wow. He had a demoted title. He shouldn't be using that new title. Or he shouldn't have been using that higher title, and he's continued to do it for political gain. That's why JD Vance was able to take such a quick shot at this. This issue's been around since 2018 when he ran for first governor, but it was mostly contained to a couple of attack ads that were paid for by former National Guardsmen. Now.
Okay, so my bad. I thought this was actually Vance calling into the show, but we do, I believe, have the reaction from Vance. Now, we've got some CNN footage here I want to show you as well. Okay, this was C-SPAN posted just hours ago, and this is actually Vance's reaction. He's being asked a question. Press. Hard to make out the question.
Well, look, I came from a family where nobody in my family had ever gone to law school. I grew up in a poor family. The fact that Tim Walz wants to turn it into a bad thing, that I actually worked myself through college, through law school, and made something myself, to me, that's the American dream. And if Tim Walz wants to insult it, I think that's frankly pretty bizarre. Now, look, what really bothers me about Tim Walz, it's not even the positions that he's taken, though certainly he has been a far-left radical. You know what really bothers me about Tim Walz as a Marine who served his country in uniform? When the United States Marine Corps, when the United States of America asked me to go to Iraq to serve my country, I did it. I did what they asked me to do it, and I did it honorably, and I'm very proud of that service. When Tim Walz was asked by his country to go to Iraq, you know what he did? He dropped out of the Army and allowed his unit to go without him, a fact that he's been criticized for aggressively by a lot of the people that he served with. I think it's shameful to prepare your unit to go to Iraq, to make a promise that you're going to follow through, and then to drop out right before you actually have to go. I also think it's dishonest. Something, again, if you guys ever get an opportunity to ask Tim Walz or Kamala Harris some questions, he made this interesting comment that the Kamala Harris campaign put out there, and I bet they're regretting they put it out there now, because he said that and he was making a point about gun control, he said we shouldn't allow weapons that I used in war to be on America's streets. Well, I wonder, Tim Walz, when were you ever in war? What was this weapon that you carried into war, given that you abandoned your unit right before they went to Iraq, and he has not spent a day in a combat zone? What bothers me about Tim Walz is the stolen valor garbage. Do not pretend to be something that you're not. And if he wants to criticize me for getting an Ivy League education, I'm proud of the fact that my mamaw supported me, that I was able to make something of myself. I'd be ashamed if I was him and I lied about my military service like he did.
So right there, Vance referencing the clip that we just played for you, talking about carrying weapons into war. So much is happening right now. I want to get to, there was a really remarkable moment today that I think was pretty ballsy of Vance, because Kamala and Vance were actually at the same airport at the same time. And what did Vance do? He decided to actually walk up and confront her. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz run from reporters just moments after JD Vance spoke with them about his potential new plane. Hideaway Harris. Harris appears to be afraid of reporters, considering she has avoided them at all costs. Now, this is a split screen. I don't want to play that just yet because I want to play the actual moment when he walked up. Okay, this is JD Vance physically walking up to Kamala's plane to ask her why she won't take questions. Now, there's Vance walking up to Air Force Two. Okay, I think we got some better footage of that I want to show. This is the epic photo that is just circulating all over the web right now. This is Vance walking away from the plane where Kamala Harris was literally hiding. Now, okay, so this is moments after that. Moments after that, a reporter asks Kamala about the allegations of stolen valor that CNN just reported on, that everyone's talking about right now. And she just walks away. Ready for this?
Governor, Vance accused you of stolen valor. Your response. Governor.
This is par for the course. Bring out the kids, get the photo op, ignore the press. No accountability here. None at all. Just pretend like those questions are never coming at you. That's what we have here in this campaign. Governor, I think keep asking. Now, this continues. Kyle Becker also tweeting, stolen valor. Tim Walz is a stolen valor socialist. Now Special Forces vets are calling him out. This is Green Beret. Hey, Tim, is this you? And you can see this picture where he is wearing the hat that has the crest of the unit that he never had any deployments on. Never went into Special Forces at all, but he's just wearing the hat just to get the points. Now, Alpha News, Colin Rugg also tweeting this. This is a veteran's response. Minnesota National Guard confirms Tim Walz did not retire as a command sergeant major like he has publicly claimed. And they state that he was demoted. Let's listen in.
Newspaper. He's back again to wage a public war of words against Tim Walz.
He abandoned us. I mean, what the hell kind of leader does that? I mean, he just, as soon as the shots were fired in Iraq, he turned and ran the other way and hung his hat up and quit.
We'll get to Barron's new message for voters in a moment. But this all starts years earlier when Barron says Walz's misleading statements about his military service first led him to come forward in the fall of 2018.
So you try to get this message out, but Minnesota's largest newspaper checks it out, says it's 100% true, but yet refuses to print.
When I hung the phone up, I said, what the hell is this, North Korea?
Back in 2005, a warning order went out to the 1st Battalion, 125th Field Artillery to mobilize for a mission to Iraq. At the time, Walz served as the unit's highest non-commissioned officer, but months later, Walz would retire from the Guard, avoid the deployment, and run for Congress. Tom Behrens was next in line for the position and was asked to take his place.
I was like, well, for Pete's sake, if this guy quit, and if I say I'm not going to do it, I mean, what the hell kind of leadership is that? If a company would say, that we're going to deploy to Iraq or somewhere and you're going to be gone for whatever amount of time. And then the foreman just says, no, I'm not going. I mean, what does that say to the 500 people that work in that factory?
Behrens would go on to serve in Iraq on a nearly 2-year deployment as a command sergeant major. All while Walz began using that title as a congressman.
Wow.
Behrens says he first contacted Walz with his concerns, sending these letters to Washington. They all went unanswered.
But then we fast forward to the election in 2018 in Minnesota, and you try at that time to get people's attention with this story and also with what seems to be a very misleading statement that he continued to make about his service.
It kind of just sat there. When he was a congressman, he bragged that he was a retired command sergeant major. I'm the highest ranking person ever in the House, and all this lie that he was telling. The state of Minnesota came out after 2018, after this was exposed, and they said, well, he can say that he served as a command sergeant major, but he can't say he's a retired one because he's not.
And that's what he was saying.
Wow. So this is all blowing up right now. Everyone is talking about it. This is the big story. Here, okay, let's go back to the Tarmac, where this is that split screen I wanted to play for you. This is actually when Vance went up to the cameras to talk.
I figured I'd come by. Hopefully it's going to be my plane in a few months, but I also thought you guys might get lonely because the vice president doesn't answer questions from reporters and hasn't for 17 days. Have they given you guys an explanation for why she won't take questions from reporters? No? Nobody? Okay, great. Well, I hope that she changes her mind because it'd be good for the American people, and I think it'd be good for you all if she actually ran a real campaign instead of one from a basement with a teleprompter. So have a good one, guys. See ya.
Yeah. See, she's avoiding the press. She's avoiding the scrutiny. And what does Vance do? He just goes in and pulls a coup on the press corps that is actually there to cover Kamala. And he goes and talks to them and says, why isn't she answering the questions? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful moment. Here's more on that. Vance on the same tarmac. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, so this is him actually walking up. Look at that. It looks like that same Secret Service agent from July 13th is there.
Vice President here. I figured I'd come by and one, just get a good look at the plane, because hopefully it's going to be my plane in a few months, but I also thought you guys might get lonely because the vice president doesn't answer questions from reporters.
Yep. Now, there's a story that's floating around. It's a little crass, to say the least. But I want to bring it up because if you have been paying any attention, you know that Walz he pulled a joke yesterday about this another fake story about Vance in a couch. Okay. A very juvenile story. And now there is an allegation that is floating around that revolves around, well, you can see it on the screen. Look up from whatever you're doing and read that. I don't even want to let those words come out of my mouth. Tim Walz and the horse problem in Minnesota. This is the story that's going around right now. I mean, it's all over. Illinois Tea Party conservative. This is who the Democrats choose to be their VP nominee. Disgusting. And here's the claim. This is supposedly an AP screenshot. And you can read it. Just read it to yourself right there. It's on the screen. What does it say? Yeah. He had to have his stomach pumped because he drank something. And I don't believe this is true, but this is all over Reddit. The memes are everywhere. 220 comments on this screenshot 8 hours ago. Here's the memes going around. Did Tim Walz actually do this? According to this, yeah, this is pretty crazy. Personally, I think this is all in response to the Vance claim with the couch thing. This is just sort of a counter to that. Another internet rumor, if you will. But what is not a rumor is what Tim Walz wants to do with speech. See, these people do not care about the Constitution. That's a fact. They want to destroy this country, turn it into a communist state, making everybody dependent upon the government, opening up the floodgates at the border, people from third world nations who have no understanding of the foundation of this country, people who are easy to control, people who are desperate. They take the handouts. So they don't even understand. They come from a third world dictatorship, so going to the United States, which is turning into a third world dictatorship, doesn't change anything for them. So this is 6 hours ago.
Back on this. I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation. I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy. I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on
There's no guarantee to free speech.
Information or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
First of all, it's a republic. Let me correct you. And yes, we have free speech. We can say whatever we want. We can post whatever we want. Even the misinformation of these alleged horse incidents with Walz. So this is all happening right now. This is all breaking news. Yeah, you can see the memes are absolutely killing it on that. Base Patriot, I think there might be a big problem for the Democrats. Top Google search for Tim Walz horse blank is trending big time. I mean, you guys see what's going on here. It is wild. I mean, it's just another internet rumor. But again, what's really important is that we have a vice presidential candidate who is literally has stolen valor. CNN even reporting that fact. So if that doesn't shake up your view of the Kamala-Walz ticket, I don't know what will. From stolen valor to bizarre scandals, it's clear the Democrats' vetting process is about as thorough as a TSA pat-down. And with Trump firing on all cylinders, this race is far from over. So keep your eyes peeled and your ears open, because if tonight's revelations are any indication, we're in for one wild ride all the way to Election Day. Stay tuned, because this story is just getting started, and you can bet your bottom dollar that Raw Feed will be here to bring you every shocking detail as it unfolds.